Okay, we're ready to begin. I'm Edward Torello with Bucks County Score, and we're ready to begin our webinar. First, I'd like to give you a 1-minute commercial, just so that you know who we are for the new folks that are dialing in. SCORE is a national organization with over 350 chapters nationwide. There are 13,000 mentors in the program, of which here in Bucks County, we have 75, and our presenter, Vincent, is one of those. Our mission is very, very simple. It's to help small businesses either to start, to grow, and of course, to thrive. And all of our services are free. If you'd like to volunteer, if you'd like to have help, if you'd like to just discuss any of your problems with us, you can go to our website at buckscounty.score.org, and one of our volunteer mentors will be happy to help you. This session is being recorded, so you don't have to take notes unless you want to. And right after the presentation, we will send you a copy of the presentation and the slides. If you have a question, we will answer all questions at the end, and we ask you to put your question in the Q&A part of the icons on the bottom of your screen. I'd rather you didn't put them in the chat. It's just easier from the Q&A. So with that, we're about to begin, and our program is entitled for today, Are You Ready to Be an Entrepreneur? Our speaker is Vincent Prinzi, who's a former small business owner. He's also an author, and he's a certified mentor for SCORE Bucks County. He has a rather interesting background. He started as a music major, and after a very extensive career as a musician, he transitioned into the world of business and owned a number of salons. He also had one that was in the top 10 salons in Pennsylvania, and he was chosen for a reality TV pilot. He's written 3 books and has a number of other accomplishments. I'm just going to turn it over now to Vincent so that he can begin. Vincent?
Thank you, Ed. Once upon a time, there was a very small boy who was a very big dreamer. He lived on a farm in the Midwest, and his family was poor. His days were filled with farm chores, schoolwork, and oftentimes an abusive father. And still, this young man somehow lived with unfailing optimism and an unwavering positive attitude for his entire life. Now, this young man didn't have many friends, so the farm animals became his friends, his buddies. He would wake up in the morning, he would go down to the barn, he would greet everybody by name, and he would make up these fantastic, wild stories about these guys. He had an imagination that was wild and vivid. So much so, at some point, he imagined that the animals on the farm had the same feelings as he did. Now, he didn't have a lot of free time, but in his free time, he liked to draw. His teachers in school reprimanded him frequently for drawing. One day, while lying on one of the fields at the family farm, he drew a mouse. He named it Mickey, and the rest is history. Mickey Mouse initiated this guy's mission in life, his joy of purpose. Now, you'll hear me say the joy of purpose and use that term a few times throughout this presentation because I think it's so important. What was Walt Disney's joy of purpose? To build the happiest place on earth. Now, we all have small goals, things we'd like to achieve, little things that we want to do. This guy wanted to build the happiest place on earth. Now, we all know that's exactly what Disney did. And in doing so, I think Disney changed the culture of the 20th century. 50 or 60 years ago, I don't even remember when, could have been 70 years. They wrote a song about Disney. The title was "Tomorrow is Just a Dream Away." Tomorrow is just a dream away. Man has a dream, and that's the start. He follows his dream with his mind and his heart. Tomorrow is just a dream away. Now, I tell you this story. Some of you might know that, or at least know some of it. But I tell you this story because those of you who are thinking about small business or thinking about entrepreneurship, optimism is a given. Walt Disney was the eternal optimist and one of my heroes. Optimism. It's a given. And not only for business, forget about business just for a minute. Optimism applies to life in general. Let's take a look at optimism. Optimists, healthier, wealthier, happier, and anybody can do it. It's a mindset. Now, before I go on, first of all, I want to congratulate those of you who are here doing some research or doing your due diligence to minimize your risk and start a new business. If you are already in business, then congratulations, because you're still learning, you're still doing research, and that's a wonderful thing. And with these webinars, there's always something new that we can learn. One thing I want to say now is regarding Disney. Let me go backwards for a minute. This is not in my agenda, but let me go backwards. Our granddaughter stayed with us, my wife and I, over the weekend. We watched a few Disney movies. And I have to say, after all of these years, there's still magic in what Disney did. And it puts children in such a happy place. It's so cool. What a legacy that guy had. Anyway, I got sidetracked. I want to encourage you, never lose your dream, never lose the vision, never lose your imagination. Now, of course, knowledge is powerful, but imagination is limitless. Never lose your imagination. Sometimes when we're kids look up into the sky and they see sandcastles and pirate ships and Cinderella. We get busy being busy as adults, and we look up into the sky and we see rain clouds. Never lose your imagination. And if you're thinking about a career change, that's not uncommon. As a matter of fact, as Ed said in the beginning, I was a music major in college. I never thought about business when I was younger. I never thought I had what it takes to be in business or leadership. I was an introvert when I was a kid, a serious introvert. Music took me out of my shell. Music gave me a way to express myself. I continued music into college. And I thought my career path would be a music teacher, maybe in an elementary school or a high school. I wanted to direct the band and have these wonderful concerts that the parents would come to. After school, however, I got sidetracked. I met a few guys in college who were also music majors. We put a band together, and I have to say that with all humility, the band was rocking. It was great. We put a band together. Not long after, a manager picked us up, said, "You guys are great. We're going to record you. We're going to make records." We not only were talented musicians, we all sang, and we wrote all of our own material. Manager picked us up. We traveled the country. We toured from New York to Florida, out west. We did hotels and casinos. We did shows and concerts. We did wonderful venues in Las Vegas and Lake Tahoe. It was wonderful for about 5 or 6 years. Now, remember, we were young guys out of school. Frankly, we had big egos, and we couldn't make a deal. We were dealing with managers, agents, producers, engineers, record distribution. We just couldn't make a deal. We couldn't figure it out. We started to look at other careers. Okay, so how did I make the transition? As I said, our band was pretty popular. We had a fan club that would follow us, at least within 2, 3, 4 hour radius from the tri-state area. A lot of the people in the fan club were stylists. And when we started talking about other careers, they said to me, you'd be great as an artistic stylist and you can open your own business, because they knew I had two things in mind. One was creativity and one was challenge. I said they were crazy, walked away, and here I am some 30 years later. Now, what I can tell you about that transition is this. I never thought leadership was in my DNA. I can tell you I was seriously wrong. There's a psychology professor, a professor who has a PhD in psychology who teaches at Yale. She created a course called, and if I remember this, it's called Psychology and the Good Life. Can happiness be learned? The answer is a resounding yes. That course happens to be the most popular course at Yale in Yale's history. Turn the page a little bit. Can leadership be learned? Absolutely. We'll talk more about leadership. And as far as entrepreneurship, here's the other thing that I think about. Sometimes the only transportation for an entrepreneur is a leap of faith. I love that. The only transportation for an entrepreneur is a leap of faith. Now, I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff. I'm going to try to get a lot of things in. I have some specifics, some detail, a lot of concepts. And what I want to mention is whatever business you're in, and it's difficult not knowing where you are, if you're opening or if you're in business or what type of business you're into. But understand that there's a commonality in business. There's a common thread that runs through business. So when you hear me explain concepts of some of the things that I did, tweak it a little bit and understand that there's somewhere in there, there's an application that will apply to you. So let's move on. If business is truly your purpose, then rock on, my friends. Let's talk about purpose. The joy of purpose, there it is. First of all, why do you want to be in business? There's a personal why, there's a business why. I encourage you, those of you who are starting a business or creating a business, thinking about a business, I encourage you to talk to a mentor, request a mentor. The SCORE mentors are wonderful. They're experienced, they're knowledgeable. Talk about the why. Is it because you're frustrated, you're not happy where you are, or is there maybe an opportunity for it? Is it a dream? Think about the why. What is your purpose? Is there joy in your purpose? Now go back to Disney. Disney, joy of purpose, building the happiest place on earth. Nobody could ever change this guy's mind. He was on track. He had blinders on. When he failed at a certain project, he recovered. He figured it out and he kept moving to the next thing and the next thing. He hired more people, more artists. When the banks turned him down, he went to another bank. No one could ever change this guy's mind, the joy of purpose. Now, I was lucky when I was younger. I didn't understand this term and the joy of purpose, and I didn't codify my stuff or analyze what I was doing, but I knew what made me happy. You see, I was a singer and a trumpet player. As a singer, I was okay, but there's so many wonderful, great singers that I would never compare myself. But when I played trumpet, I played from the heart. I played with emotion. And I had the ability to hit these wonderful, cool, high notes at the end of a song. And a lot of times our musical arrangement would end with me screaming out this high note. It was great. It was so much fun for me. At the end of a show or concert, people would come up to me and say, wow, you moved me. You made me feel good. That was great. It was awesome. It was then that I realized my joy of purpose, and what was gratifying to me was moving positive emotions of people. Moving positive emotions. That was my purpose. Now, how did that translate into me being a stylist? When I was behind the chair and I was a stylist, I was moving positive emotions. People walked out, they felt good and they were happy. I didn't last too long as a stylist. I was behind the chair maybe 6 or 7 years. I moved away from the chair. I became more of a manager and leader to build the business, to grow the business. That's when I found my niche. When I became a leader, I realized that I had the ability to inspire people. I had the ability to inspire the staff. I had the ability to inspire the staff to take ownership of our objective, my objective. It was wonderful. And when you have the ability to inspire people, that's a legacy that will last longer than your life. Now, the joy of purpose. There are thousands of mentors across the country. Ed mentioned that earlier. Thousands. I thought there were some 10,000. Ed said 13,000. Every one of these guys, and I say guys respectfully, including men and women. But all of these folks, a lot of them retire, spend their time helping people. That's their joy of purpose, helping people. Helping people reminds me of one of the classic quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King. He said this: the most important, urgent, persistent question is, what are you doing to help others? The joy of purpose. Now, I would much prefer being in the same room with everybody because I like dialogue and I like interaction, but I'll ask you a question, I'll answer it. But here's the question. Did you ever look up the definition of success? I'll tell you what it is. The definition of success is achieving your aim or achieving your purpose. There's the purpose thing. Now, let's talk a little bit about success. Let me go back to purpose first. I believe if your purpose is pure, your business will function more efficiently and you will be profitable. I believe when your purpose is pure, you will have success. And here's the thing about purpose. When I went into business, profit was not a priority for me. Now, let me make this clear. If you're going into business or if you are in business, profit is important. And if you're not making a profit, you shouldn't be there. Profit is important. Profit is a measure of value. We all need to make money. You need to think long-term. You need to think exit. Profit is important. But when your purpose is pure, the profit is a byproduct. And I believe that. I believe when your purpose is pure, profit is a given. Success is a given. Now, let's talk a little bit about success. I'm going to change my slide here and we'll take a look at success. And I'm going to take a drink of water. I had struggles just like most owners experience. But I loved what I created. In my last store, it was expansive. For a salon, we had 30-foot ceilings. It was expansive. It was big and it was bustling with activity and energy. I loved it. And I could only wish this for you. When I got up in the morning, I couldn't wait for the day to see what adventure it was going to be. I loved what I created. I would walk around during the day, and I was meticulous about my image and about the brand. I was meticulous. The music was the same volume level. The music was the same genre, and it wasn't what I liked. It was what the mass audience would appreciate. I was meticulous about the brand and the image. I would walk around during the day. I would compliment stylists, compliment clients. I loved it. Clients would come up to me and they would say, wow, you can walk around or sit in your office and watch all of this happen around you. Well, I got to the point where that was accurate. But what I want to talk to you about is what clients and customers don't see. I call it the stretches and the strengths. What don't they see? The sweat equity. That's what they don't see. Let's take a look at that. Here's my slide. Sweat equity. I call it the stretches. Hard work, risk, late nights, working weekends, struggles, disappointments, rejection, debt, adversity. How do you get past that? With your strengths. And, you know, I gave you a small sampling of the sweat equity that you might go through. But if you're serious, your strengths get you through that. Persistence, discipline, courage, optimism. That's what gets you through. Now, there are some people who decide not to go in business, and it's not for everybody. Some people fit in their comfort zone. That's where they are, and they feel good about that, and that's okay. My dad was one. He was in his comfort zone. But he always talked about business. He wanted to be in business. He wanted to open a steak and hoagie shop. He talked about steak sandwiches all the time. He loved steak sandwiches, cheesesteaks. He said, I'm going to make these wonderful rolls. They'll be crispy on the outside. I'll make these delicious, tasty onions. Thinking about steak sandwiches, I think about the first baseball game I went to with my dad. I didn't remember much about the baseball game. Yeah, guys were throwing a ball around. They were hitting the ball with a bat. What I remembered about my first baseball game when I was a little kid was sitting on some little bench on a pavement outside in South Philly at 9th and Passyunk Avenue, eating this big steak sandwich with all of the cheese dripping out. Bunch of pigeons wobbling around looking for crumbs, cars going by. My dad loved steak sandwiches. My dad couldn't get over the sweat equity or the stretches. And I think what deterred him mostly was the financial risk. We were poor when I was younger. And I understand that. My dad didn't want to upset the finances in the family. And it's okay. And let me make this clear. My dad was wonderful. He was a good man. He did all he could. He loved his family, and he did all he could for his family. He was a good guy, so much so that some of his friends tagged him with the title, Good Old Joe. He was a good guy. But he never made that move, that jump. He never flipped a switch. That's okay. Let's talk about the flip side of comfort zone. Recently, I read an article about mountain climbers. Now, we all know what mountain climbers do. Mountain climbers climb mountains. Now, if you have never seen a documentary or read an article in a newspaper or magazine, I'm sure over the years you have seen a movie that depicted mountain climbers. Think about the challenge and the adversity climbing a mountain. You know, I would even add pain and suffering. I mean, these guys are hanging on the side of a mountain in extreme weather. Are you kidding me? So later in the article, a journalist interviewed an experienced climber about the challenge of mountain climbing. I'll never forget this. He said, the best memories are born from adversity and challenge. The best memories are born from adversity and challenge. I love that. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not hanging on a mountain to prove I can beat the challenge. I'll figure out another way to do it. But that's wonderful. That's a true story. Here's another story that's not so true, but the concept is perfect. Here it is. Two boys are walking down a dirt road. Two young boys who are filled with desire to explore and adventure. They're walking down the dirt road. They see an old barn on the side of the road. They said, let's go exploring. Let's go take a look in the barn. The first boy goes into the barn. He looks around. He looks on the ground and he sees manure all over the place. He takes a whiff. He's smelling it and he says, this is awful. I got to get out of here. This is horrible. It stinks in here. He runs out. The second boy goes in. The second boy looks around, takes a whiff of the air, looks on the ground, sees all the manure, and he says, wow, this is great. There must be a pony around here somewhere. Now, I tell you this story because it's my guess. Those of you who are entrepreneurs or who are creating and starting a new business, you're the guys that are looking for that pony. You're the guys, you're the folks that will have your strengths take you through the sweat equity and the stretches. You'll find the strength to get through. Now, again, I congratulate you for doing your research, for studying, for doing your due diligence, for trying to learn more about business, anything that you can. And every little thing helps, right? Again, I encourage you to request a mentor. The mentors are wonderful. Talk to mentors, talk to advisors, talk to people that might be in the industry that you're thinking about. So you decide business is for you. What's next? I call it setting the conditions or the building blocks, if you will. Let's set the conditions. This is what the conditions look like. Well, let me say this first. Some of the conditions or some of the things that I'm going to give you are some of the things that I've done. All of it might not be applicable to you, but you can, what I'm going to show you, you can add to it, you can subtract from it, or you can create your own. Let's take a look at setting the conditions to build your business. Here they are. Determine your target market. Why do they want to buy from you and not the guy down the street? Discuss that with a mentor. Review your finances. This is a big one, folks. Review your finances. Now, if you're new or thinking about business, you need to understand or estimate what are the operating costs? What are my startup costs? What is the cushion that I need? Some businesses might be at a higher risk. They need a bigger cushion. What might that mean? How about product sales? Now, you might be wanting to sell a product that's already out on the market. Or, well, you might have a better, or you think you have a better marketing strategy to sell this product. Or it's a brand new product. It's not out anywhere. That, a bank might say, is a little riskier than the other. Therefore, it might take a little bit more of a cushion. And remember too that the bank or an investor will always want you to put some of your own money in business. They say skin in the game, put your own money in before we give you any. What do you have? Review your finances. Now, I'll say this with all honesty. I didn't like the numbers. I knew what I had to do. I knew how to do it, but I didn't like it. When my business got to a certain point, I hired a bookkeeper. Every Monday around 1 o'clock, for a couple hours, we would go over the numbers that happened the previous week. I would ask her about percentages and ratios. If you're not going to do it, get somebody to help you, but you need to understand the finances. You need to do it. You need to know where you are to get where you're going or where you want to go. Next, hire an accountant, an attorney, payroll company, insurance company. An attorney will help you if you're signing a lease with key employee agreements, with partnership agreements. Payroll company if you have a staff. Maybe you're a solopreneur and you're working yourself. That's okay. I started myself and I had no idea what I was doing. It took me a long time to figure it out. It can take you a lot less by doing what you're doing and talking to a mentor or an advisor. Research a location. Maybe you're a solopreneur. Maybe you don't need a location. You're working from your home. Apply for applicable licenses. Apply for EIN number, a fictitious name. EIN number is very easy. You can do it online or ask your accountant to help you with it. Open a business bank account, checking and savings. If you are going to build or fit out a space or refurbish a space, you'll need to hire a contractor. Try to hire a contractor that has done some work in a similar business before. Design and fixtures, technology. You're going to need phones, computers, software, equipment, and supplies. You need all the stuff. You need to think about it. You need to talk to an advisor about it. That's what I call setting the conditions. When I look at my blocks, I think of my granddaughter. The blocks look like kids' blocks. Building blocks, setting your conditions. Okay, so you got through all of that. You're ready. You got through all of that. You're ready to open the door. Now, what happened to me, my enthusiasm when I was younger, opening my business, was at a much higher level than my logic. I rolled the dice. It took me a while to figure it out. But here's what happened. So I do all the stuff. Now I have a lease. I put the keys in the door. I open the door. I flip the lights on. I look around and I said to myself, wow, this is pretty cool. I had a little space, one chair in a little office. I looked around and said, yeah, this is really cool. A couple minutes later, I looked around and I said, now what? After some years, and after I'm very analytical, so after some years, I put things into some perspective. And I like to simplify things. So I break down things into its smallest pieces. So the first thing I thought about was, okay, what's the objective? Here it is. This is simple. As I said, simplicity. Here's your objective. Maintain your existing clientele and grow new clientele. Is there more? Maintain your existing clientele and grow new clientele. Now, that's pretty simple, but not really. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with that. So when I thought about that and I started to analyze what is all of this about and what is the process to do that, this is what I came up with. Over some years, I came up with the 3 M's: morale, marketing, and money. Let's take a look at that. I'll take a drink of water. Here's the process. Morale. Morale will promote long-term stability. Your marketing is going to create growth. Money, the revenue analysis gives you control. Money, simple, right? No, none of this is simple, but I like to break it down into its simplest fraction in the equation. Money, what comes in, what goes out. You want to increase what comes in. You want to decrease or at least monitor what goes out all of the time. Weekly, monthly, quarterly. Do the books, give it to the accountant. Marketing. I used to love this. This was fun for me. I had a knack for marketing in my business. So marketing I put into two categories, advertising and promoting. Advertising will always cost money. Newspapers, menus, brochures, magazines, billboards, advertising costs you money. Promoting, on the other hand, will cost little or zero, nothing. How does that happen? Well, first of all, promoting, there are two categories of promoting, one of which you all understand and know, social media. You need to do it. And again, I knew what I needed to do. I knew what was important to do. I didn't like doing it. So I had someone come in the office, a young person come in the office twice a week and update our social media consistently, all the time, every week, social media. Here's the big one. Publicity, or I'll call it PR, public relations. What does that mean? Publicity. And this is where I had a knack. I'll give you an example. First of all, I was always one to give back. I always donated to fundraisers and charity. When I went into business, I realized I had more resources to do some charitable work. My kids, when they were younger, we involved them in a youth group at our church. I wanted them to see the other side. They picked produce at a farm and delivered it to a soup kitchen in Center City. I remember filling boxes with canned goods at Fill Abundance with my son. When I got into business, as I said, there's more resources now that I could help people. I always involved myself in something that involved children. One of the foundations was called the Dara Foundation. The Dara Foundation started from their son, beautiful 3-year-old boy who died of childhood cancer. They created a foundation, and in the course of the year, they would have these fundraisers. At the end of the year, they would donate all the money to another family who had a child with cancer. Well, one day, years ago, and this is an example, and I could give you examples for it the next hour. I can talk about marketing. One day, years ago, we were in Doylestown at the Doylestown Art Show. Now, they have an art show every year, barring the pandemic, of course, but there were artists and food and music and bands. When I was walking around, I thought about having an art show in the salon. Now, I mentioned to you, the salon was pretty large. It was expansive for a salon. And when I built the store, I put everything on wheels so that we could wheel everything out and have events. So I took a lot of business cards. I waited for about 3 days until the dust settled from the outside show. I called 10 artists and I said, hey, I'm having an art show in a salon with musicians. I have guitar players and singers and DJs and a clown and catering. The entire staff is going to be there giving stuff away. It's going to be great. 10 artists agreed to do it with the condition that they would give 15 or 20% between 15 and 20% of their net proceeds to our charity at the time, which was the Darrow Foundation. It was wonderful in so many ways. It created some staff morale. They all loved it. They were all there. Not only that, but this is what resulted from that. I realized that each artist had their own database, their own fan club, if you will. Each artist did an email blast to all of their following saying, we're having a show in a salon with other artists and musicians and stuff. I can't tell you for 8 or 9 hours how many people came in and out of that salon. I can't tell you how wonderful it was. I can't tell you the amount of business over months after. People called and said, hey, it was great. I loved it there. It looked really cool. You guys were great. I want to make an appointment. What it did for my marketing was incredible. Plus, the next day, I had this huge check to bring to the Darrow people. And I said, this is what we did. This is for you guys. It was incredible. It was wonderful. We did an event for another children's charity called Kisses for Kyle. We had Star Wars characters with original costumes. These guys travel around the country doing Star Wars affairs. We had 10 or 12 of these guys. Same thing, clowns and stuff. We were on Action News. I can't tell you how invaluable publicity or PR is. If you have a human interest story and you can figure it out somewhere, somehow, your businesses can do something to build this PR in your community. And what that did in our community was incredible. Now, let's talk about morale. Client morale. We all know what client morale is, right? Customer service, customer service. I'm going to change that. No, it's not customer service. Client morale is extraordinary service. Extraordinary service. I had a saying, sometimes I pull things from my entertaining career. It's this: every client, every time, showtime. No. Hairdressers didn't think they needed to perform a show while we were working. But you can say that in 20 different ways. My way was every time, every client, showtime. When the lights went on in the morning, the show starts until the lights go out. The client at the end of the day gets the same treatment as the first client. I used to tell the group that were answering the phones, I called them the salon coordinators, that the first requirement in answering that phone is to do it with a smile. People hear smiles on the phone. Now, here's the next piece: staff morale. If your staff isn't motivated, you don't need to do any marketing and you're not going to make any money to count. You need a motivated staff for it to be successful, for it to function well. Now, if you're a solopreneur and you're working yourself, change the word staff to self. Self morale, discipline, persistence. And if you're working, especially if you're working in a small office or at home, you need to be aware of the variables and distractions around you. You need to departmentalize your personal stuff and business. Staff morale. I can give you an hour on staff morale. When they talk to me about this show thing, I went back to thinking about the beginning of my career. I was working myself. I thought to be an artistic stylist, I was an artist. Again, I was introverted. I didn't talk for a year. I just did my work and it was great. I was an awesome hairdresser, but business wasn't growing. When I told myself, you are not an introvert, and I told my brain that every single day, my brain finally agreed with me. And my brain said, okay, you're not an introvert. And when my brain believed it, I believed it. Now, my introvert itself, I haven't seen in decades. But when I came out of that mode, what I realized is my technical skill was a small percentage of what would make me successful. I realized three other things were important: sales prowess, relationship building, and effective communication. When I put that combination, the business grew exponentially. Soon thereafter, I was looking for more space because to accommodate the activity, because the activity was going crazy. Sales, relationship building, and effective communication. Now, if we were in a room together, I would ask you another question. What's the one word, or I would say, what's the most important word to create staff morale? Now, you probably would give me a lot of answers and they would all be correct because there is no wrong answer here. But I think the most important piece of staff morale, even if you're a solopreneur, you are this. What am I talking about? Leadership. The most important thing in staff morale is leadership, to be a leader. Now, if you look up the definition of entrepreneur, you won't see the word leadership or leader. But if you ask me in my book, being an entrepreneur is all about being a leader. Not just a leader. I'm talking about an effective leader. I'm talking about a values-based leader. A values-based leader that can inspire the staff to take ownership of your objective. A value-based leader that can inspire the staff to take ownership of your mission statement. An inspirational leader. That's what makes the difference. An inspirational leader can do amazing things, not only with the staff, but with your clients. Mission statement. If you don't have one or you never thought about it, then I would encourage you, please think about it. What's your mission statement? It's a North Star. It's your direction. This is where I want to go. This is my mission statement. I'll share mine with you. When I was younger, I created a plan. And, you know, your mission statement doesn't have to be perfect. It could be one word, two words. It could be a sentence. It could be a paragraph. It could change next week or next year. But put something on paper. Your mission statement. When I was younger, I had a plan to be a better person. My plan turned into a mantra for me to be an awesome stylist. That mantra, same plan, same as the plan, that mantra turned into our business mission statement. That mission statement then became my script to be a more effective and a value-based leader. I'll share that with you now. Here it is, my mission statement, my North Star, vision to be creative, purpose to serve others and understand it is a privilege to serve. Commitment to lifelong learning, passion for who I am, what I do. Love everything I do. Love life. When this mission statement became our business mission statement, the word I became the word we, and they all took ownership. They all accepted that. I had that on a frame. I had that in our menu, in our brochures. I had that in our marketing. If people thought that's who we were, people wanted to visit. People wanted to be there. Why? Because it's my belief that consumers, customers, they want the businesses that they do business with to align with their own values. If your values align with their values, then they feel comfortable doing business with you. Now, I did some research on businesses that use value-based words, words like trust, kindness, respect, love. It was amazing what I found. But let me give you an example of a company that did an ad. And I love this. I mean, this was years ago, and I still talk about it because I love it. This is a perfect example of a company's values aligning with consumers. It's a tire ad. Now, if you drive a car, I'm sure you bought tires at some point. We all buy tires, and you've probably seen tire ads. Buy 3 tires and get 1 for free. Or how about, we have the best polymer grip on the road, blah, blah, blah. I saw a tire ad that blew me away. And here's what it was. It was a tire laying on the ground, a plain old tire laying on the ground. There was no rim in it, but there was a beautiful smiling baby inside the tire. The caption underneath said, "We protect what you love. Michelin tires. We protect what you love." Now, if they're sincere about that, I don't have to tell you what kind of tires I drive. That's a perfect example. I took my research to another level. I wanted to find all of the businesses in their marketing pieces that use the word love. Now, I want to say shocked, but not surprised. How many businesses I found that use the word love. It was incredible. Here's a small sample of a few businesses that use the word love in their advertising. Let's take a look at that. Here it is. Shriners Hospital for Children, love to the rescue. Children, Christian Dior, what would you do for love? Vera Wang, Love Collection. Rementhol, I'm sure you heard this. I love Rementhol. Mega Food Supplements, made with love. Sabru, you heard this one. Love, it's what makes a Sabru a Sabru. Citibank card, double your love. Pine Brothers Cough Drops, love your brothers. Harvest, I love this one. Harvest Seasonal Grill and Wine Bar, give, love, serve. Zips Dry Cleaners, it's okay to be in love with your cleaners because we love you back. Love. That's a small sample. I found dozens. Now, there is one downside to using value-based words. You see, I believe people people see distrust in advertising. They see contempt in the world. I think there's a need for resurgence of basic values. If you're not sincere about using words like this, you are doing more damage to your business than if you didn't use them at all. Here's another thing from my old musician life, my other life. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. If it's not sincere, then don't use it. When you use this, even if you're a solopreneur and you're on the phone and you're talking to people, or when people walk into your business, there has to be an actionable performance when those folks walk in or you talk to somebody. When there is, that's when you're showing your purpose. That's when your business is functioning efficiently. That's when the profit will come. That's when you'll see success. An actionable performance. Now, I said a lot of stuff over an hour, I guess. And again, I only wish we were in the same room because I like the interaction. But that's okay. I'm happy to be here. This is wonderful. I want you to forget about, just for a short time, forget about everything that I said. I want to leave you with three things, three takeaways. Write it down. Think about it. Look at it every day. Here they are. 1, rediscover your core values. Why? Your business philosophy will be the foundation of your business. But your ability to embody the qualities of a value-based leader will determine your stability and your longevity. Absolutely. 2, create your mission statement personally and from a business point of view. It's your North Star. Create it. Look at it every day. Write it down. You can talk to 100 psychologists and they'll give you the benefits of journaling. I'm not asking you to do that. Just write this down. If I turned my computer around, you would laugh because you would see 30 Post-it notes of things I want to do, goals, achievements. I write it down all the time. I have a notepad beside my bed, a notepad in the den near the TV. I don't have my wallet on me, and I wanted to, and I forgot to put it in my pocket because I wanted to share something with you. I sold my business, and I'll tell you what that is in a minute. I sold my business probably 2.5 years ago. 2 years before that, I wrote something on a little piece of paper, and you might not even be able to read it because it's so worn out. It's in my wallet. If we meet again, I'll show it to you. It's in my wallet. I look at it every day. It's been in my wallet for 5 years, and I used to do that all the time with different goals. What does it say? I sold my business 2 years ago. I wrote this down 2 years before that. It's in there for 5 years. It says on a little piece of paper, it's a yellow Post-it note paper that's all ripped up and destroyed. It says this: I don't want to retire. I want to talk and inspire. Write it down. Do it today after this presentation, and tonight or tomorrow. Do these 3 things within 24 hours. It'll change you. Number 3, understand your purpose. Understand your purpose. Now, right here on this stage, well, right here in my little home office, I'm going to give you one of the biggest secrets to success that you will ever hear. Right here, right now, today, here it is. One of the biggest secrets to success is the consistency of your purpose. That's it. The consistency of your purpose. Now, before I go, I have to be careful of my time. Otherwise, our brilliant IT guy is going to black me out here or something. I don't want to go too far here, but before I go, I want to give you and share with you a story that I heard years ago. I've done presentations in the past, and over the years, I've been in several schools, and especially when I give a presentation to students, I always end up with a little story, maybe about kindness. I want to share a story with you that when I first heard it, it blew my mind. Every once in a while, I tell the story, and I still love it, and it still is powerful. Here it is. It's a true story. Happened in Washington State. It's about the Special Olympics. Everybody knows what the Special Olympics are. Handicapped kids, physically, intellectually. The Special Olympics, it was held in a stadium in Washington State. Now you have to understand, these kids trained for a year with one thing in mind: to win. They wanted to win. That's the point, right? The Olympics. They have a chance to compete. They have a chance to be like others. I'm going to win. The last event of the day in a stadium, friends, families, the stadium is filled with people and friends and everybody. 9 kids, probably between the ages of 10 and 12, 9 kids on the starting line. The last event of the day, it's a 100-yard dash. The gun goes off. They start running. They're running. These 9 kids are trying so hard. They're running. They want to win. They're running. They're thinking about nothing except winning. This one little boy turned around and he looked over, and he didn't see the girl that was next to him at the starting line. So he's running and he's looking for the little girl that was next to him. He doesn't see her. He turned around while he's running, and he saw that she was laying on the ground. She was laying at the starting line, crying. She couldn't get up. Maybe she got hurt, or maybe it was her pride. He was running. He looked around. He turned around. He forgot about winning. He turned around and went back to the starting line. And when he did that, all of the others, the other kids, they turned around and they saw what was going on. They all went back to the starting line. When he got there, he picked up the little girl by the arm. They held arm in arm. They held their arms in arm. All of the 9 kids were at the starting line, arm in arm, and they walked to the finish line. They all walked to the finish line. Nobody told them to do that. Talk about values. I love that story, and I still like to tell it. If every business and every person everywhere was just a little bit kinder, what would the world be like? I want to thank you for your time. I know time is precious, and time is the one thing that we can't get more of in life. So I do appreciate you being here and spending that little time with me. And my wish for you, my wish for all of you, is to be wildly successful. Thank you for being here. Ed?
Thank you very much, Vincent. Excellent presentation. Couple of questions for you. One of them is, how do I inspire my employees to share the same sort of passion for what I do that, that I have? how do I share it with them? Some of the ideas were, do I cut them in for a piece of the profits, which seems to make people very, very enthusiastic? Or do I have some sort of incentive? Or do I have weekly meetings and sort of get everybody excited? How do I do that?
Well, it happens over time. It doesn't happen in a short amount of time. What they need to know, Ed, this question come from a particular business?
No, just a general question.
It has to happen over time. They have to know that you are sincere. You have to show them that. You have to show them your integrity, your character. And that happens with uh, uh, inspirational meetings. When I had a meeting, I never talked about anything negative at the meeting. I would have one-on-one meetings, no matter how many people. If you have 2 people or if you have 200, I would have one-on-one meetings. But when I had a meeting, the manager in the store, my manager would talk about procedures for 10 or 15 minutes. I would do inspirational team exercises for 45 minutes to get the team together. You have to do things that create this culture, this inspiring culture, this team culture. At Christmas time or holiday time, I got them together and we did Christmas. We made a Christmas for families who couldn't do it themselves. I had little teams. I had 2 or 3 people on, okay, you buy the food, you get them dinner, here are the sizes for the kids' clothes, you do this, you do that. You have to do things that everybody's involved in. Bring in an inspirational speaker. Do things with charities, do things together that eventually will inspire your staff. I used to, here's a thought. I had, every once in a while, I would put a thank you board in the lunchroom. And I said, okay, this Christmas, this holiday season, you do not have to give me any gift. I never took a gift. It was always something to one of my charities. And I said to the group, I said, my gift from you this year will be you thanking another coworker and putting a note on this bulletin board. Thank you for your support. Thank you for this. And put her name up. Every year I had a contest within the group. I would say, vote for the person that you think was the most helpful to every client. They would win a trophy. I had a trophy made and a cash prize. Now, motivating, let me caution you. Yes, dollars are always wonderful. Everybody needs more dollars. But dollars are not always the thing that's going to motivate somebody. Dollars are not the thing that will prevent people from leaving. If you look at national statistics, statistics will tell you that people leave companies because they feel less appreciated, or they don't feel appreciated, they don't feel respect, or they don't get respect from their coworkers. I made the group, I encouraged the group to do things together. We had team exercises, we did things that were fun. Eventually, it turned into a team culture, and it was unstoppable. When you get it, it's unstoppable. I hope that helps.
Okay. Here's just a question. Somebody asked me here if we'll get the recording and the slides, and the answer is yes. Afterwards, we put everything together, and within an hour or so, it appears. So you will have that. Now, here's somebody who said to me, wait 1 second. I like the question. Here we go. Actually, the person grew up on Pat's Steaks, which is something you referenced. The person is now a natural foods chef instructor and yoga instructor. How do you keep up your energy to be a business owner? It's one thing, you start out with a great energy level. How do you maintain that? Obvious, it's all to do with the inspiration inside you, so to speak, and some of the things you spoke about. But how do you keep yours up, for example?
I spoke to a business owner a while back, and I said to him, you need to take more time to balance your life. And he said, I don't have any time to have more time. I said to him, if you don't take more time, your business is going to run away from you. So my thought is balance your life. When you step back from it and look at it from a different perspective, you'll find the time. Balance your life. I always say self, family, work, spirituality. This is what I do. Every morning I walk. I walk my dog, but sometimes myself. Every morning I walk. I exercise. And when I walk, we have walking trails, and it's a pretty cool place to walk. But I think about those things that I am grateful for in my life. When you think about gratitude, somehow that gives you energy. It blocks out all the other stuff. Eat well, exercise, balance your life, balance your time. And if you're saying to me, I don't have time, find the time. Because if you want your business to be successful, if you want to be a successful individual, if you want to find more energy, balance your time. In one of our meetings, I had a meeting with a group one time, and one of the girls said to me, I don't believe in what you're saying about balance, because I said self, family, work, spirituality. My kids come first. And I said, okay. When you're on an airplane, do they tell you to put the mask on first? If you're overworked, are you giving your kids the energy that they need to have? If you're sick, can you give the kids the energy that they need? I went through all of those things, and finally she said, okay, you're right. Self is important. Balance your life, balance your exercise, and gratitude. In the morning, be grateful. Do your gratitude walk. That's what helps me.
And here's an interesting thing. So social media is the big thing now, and everybody's using it or trying to use it. How do I use it to inspire people to love my product?
Good question. They're all good questions. When I talked about the publicity or the PR that I did, and I talked about marketing and marketing strategy, I was successful with that, not because I was smarter than the other guys, because of two things. This is what you need to think about. To differentiate yourself from the other guys, you need two things. One, it needs to be unique. And two, you need to be creative. What I did with publicity and PR and with our social media, if you look at it, a lot of the stuff out there is now becoming similar. You need to be unique. Differentiate yourself by being unique and being creative. Use your creativity. Everybody has it. Think about it. It will help.
It was just a little follow-up. Should I be perhaps offering some sort of a webinar on social media where I really explain the program and then my enthusiasm comes through, or what?
Everything helps. Let me say this to you. People don't buy products. People don't buy services. People buy relationships. So don't make your webinar or don't make your stuff all about what you're selling. Build a relationship. Let them know who you are. Remember when I talked about your values aligning with those values of consumers? When they understand your values, they'll look at you different. People don't buy products. People don't buy services. People buy relationships. create a relationship, connect with your people, be creative. It works.
Very true. I'm a mentor, and I've been mentoring some people who have businesses that interact with people. And I keep telling them, you actually have to get out and speak to community groups and whatnot, explain what you do. Because if somebody's going to take care of mom and dad, they actually want to see who's going to do it. And that's very true. Here's one, I think I understand it. How do we move communities to thriving communities during these challenging times in our lives? Perhaps you can give some advice about that. I guess lifting spirits is probably part of this.
Well, I'm not quite sure if I understand the question. Move communities to a thriving community related to your business.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's spirit uplifting and things of that nature. How do I get people inspired in a sense?
I agree, Ed. It would be the same thing that I was talking about, and we talked about when I did some of the PR things and the public relations or the publicity things that I did. I involved the community. When the community saw who we were, the community comes together for things like that. And we know, especially going through all of what we've been going through for over a year now, we need more involvement. We need more togetherness. We need more connection. We need more community. Get the community involved or be in the community. Do stuff with the community. Bring them to your place of business if it's big enough. Do things that make a difference. That community will, when you do things that make a difference, the community around you will say, wow, they're really good guys. They're really cool people. I want to work with them. That's how it builds and it grows.
When you were doing things like that, how did you get the local press to sort of cover you? Did you call them, or did you have someone call them, or how did word get to them that you were having an event that they should actually be covering?
Started years ago. It's called persistence. So years ago, I called the local newspaper and I said, hey, I have a human interest story for you guys. Well, what do you do? Well, I'm a hairdresser in a salon. Well, we heard from a lot of hairdressers. Forget it. Persistence. Finally, I called different places so many times. I want to talk to a certain journalist. I got a name from the newspaper. And this person was wonderful. I said, look, come by my store. Give me 10 minutes of your time. She did. She was going somewhere close to my place of business. She stopped in. She said, okay, you got 10, 15 minutes. What do you got? So I gave her a story about my inspirational meetings. I gave her a copy of my first book. Not only did I become a friend of that person, but she was there for over an hour, and I got a full-page article in that local newspaper. So you need to be persistent, but you need to have a human interest story. You need to have something that people would say, oh, that's pretty cool. Something they can grab their teeth on. You know, when we had the Star Wars characters, that was an easy one. Oh, you got Star Wars, you know, the Action News was right there. And when we had our other events, sometimes it gets easier when you have really cool things. The other thought might be you can hire a publicist, a person who does this, a person who's experienced in media. They usually have a relationship with certain newspapers. And I did that a few times. That was really easy. She put something together that made sense, and she knew that the paper would take it. So call the media people or the marketing people, and sometimes they'll help you do that.
Great. Well, we're right at our appointed time, and we've run out of questions. So I want to thank you on behalf of SCORE, Bucks County, and all the folks that participated for an excellent presentation, and we really appreciate it. Just for everyone who's still on, You will be getting a copy of the presentation and the slides, and it should be coming out within a short period of time. Thank you again, Vincent, and thank you everyone else.
Thank you for having me. Bye, folks.